Hi, I'm Ray Fewings. What you're about to see is some of the most exciting football action ever witnessed. You'll see the best marks, the best tackles, and some of the most famous incidents ever to hit the football field. A lot of experts have suggested that football has become a far more physical contest in recent years. But believe me, it was played hard when the first ball was bounced, and it will continue to be played hard long after we're all gone. As far back as 1896, in a match between Collingwood and North Melbourne, the umpire was attacked at half-time by the supporters, and again in the second half, in a match that was labelled as the biggest disgrace of all time in Australian football. Or in 1910, in the grand final between Port Adelaide and Sturt, when two Sturt players, would you believe, went hammer and tongs soon after the game had finished and ended up still fighting it out on the banks of the River Torrens. Or the famous Carlton-Essendon match of 1975, labelled the Bloodbath, as 8 players were reported. Football has always been fast, hard and tough. There's nothing to suggest that it's about to change.
Taken away by Ioano. Nicholson put him under the hammer, but he worked his way out of it beautifully. Jenkins runs into it. He is down Pollard. And what a heavy bump, and that's the second one. The South Adelaide players have handed out to Norwood, and Jenkins is a sick boy at the moment.
No need whatsoever for Dunstan to run in and tackle Harradine for that one. It's football, not basketball. A good tackle.
Towards centre half forward, Stephen Curley. Oh, and Baum, and Curley's down. He is dead set down. And so is Baum now. And I think Stephen Curley's caught one. Get the handball away. Well done, Ben. Here we go again. It's on. I think you'll probably find that Bomber Clifford's down the bottom of all this somewhere. But how would you ever find him? They come from all angles. Umpire Schofield has his hands full. Hilton in there helping him. The bottom of the pack. Guess who? Bomber Clifford.
There he is.
Took him a long time to surface, Peter. He nearly suffocated.
Yeah, definitely unhurt.
Kicks it away with an awkward-looking drop kick. You don't see too many of those. Would have to do it by mistake. Schmal gets the handball away. Jenkins absolutely sandwiched there. Would have knocked the wind out of him. He won't be able to recover too quickly.
Tucked away Stanbridge. Back towards the half-forward line. A high tackle. Christopher. Big. Oh! It's on. Norsworthy and Antrobus. I think it's probably Antrobus who'll come out with the free kick. And both players are very lucky. That's all they came out with.
I think Norsworthy was reported in.
That's after doing the handball for him, but in goes Granger and down goes Pomp. But he's okay. And here's the replay of it. Pomp and Robertson do battle. Now watch Granger in from the side as Pomp, oops-a-daisy, down he goes.
Towards Dunstan. Pulled off the ball, wins the free kick. The handball to Hoffman is not a good one, putting him in trouble. Has his pants pulled off.
And goes Stephen Hoffman, under tremendous pressure, gets the handball clear. Now have a look at his face. Oops-a-daisy, where are they? There they go. Oh, let's get rid of those.
Harris in front. Simons has got that one. Or he's given it to... No, he
Of course, while we all like to see a hard and tough encounter, we're never the ones that are out there in the middle. It's almost commonplace every week that 1, 2, or even more players leave the ground the only possible way they can, and that's carried off. But have you ever stopped to think what a player who's very talented and can be the difference between winning and losing feels like knowing that he's a marked man?
Michael, how does it feel running out to a football field on Saturday knowing that you could be a marked man for that game?
Well, Andrew, I guess that if you're really thinking about it before you run out, then it's going to put you off your game. But personally, I might think about it before the game, but it'll only enter my mind and go straight out. And once you run out onto the ground, then all you're worried about is your opposition player and getting the ball.
Well, how many times have you been put down unfairly, would you say?
Oh, well, you know, there's probably quite a few times I've been put down unfairly, but nothing that stopped me from getting, you know, back up off the ground again. But, you know, there'd be 20 or 30 times, you know, probably even more than that, that someone's, you know, just either bumped me or knocked me or hit me behind the play, or, you know, when the ball's just gone away.
Now, if I was a coach and I was playing Norwood, I would suggest to one of my players to keep Michael Aish quiet. Do you believe that a coach would go as far as to say, keep Michael Aish out of the game any way you can?
Well, he may say that, but then again, it's up to the player, really, the way he goes about it. And some players do it fairly, some players don't. And there are a few players, you know, around today that do a good job at it and do it fairly, but there are those guys that would do it at any costs and hit you and belt you and do anything to, you know, stop you getting a kick.
Up until 2 years ago, you never used to wear any protective headgear. Now you never seen without it. Why did you change?
Well, it was a game in Western Australia where unfortunately I was knocked out in a state game, and, you know, I had a word to the doctor and I said, well, I suppose it's about time that I thought about wearing protective headgear. And he said yes, basically because I'd been knocked out 3 times in the last 6-7 months. And I didn't really want to be knocked out, you know, every, you know, month and having to miss the next game and then waking up in hospital thinking, oh, well, you know, I've been knocked out again. So that was a reason why I started wearing it.
Well, has it been very protective to you?
Well, you know, a lot of people, you hear a lot of people saying that they're no good, and I've heard people saying that some neurosurgeons say there's only one specific type of helmet that does any good, and that was the one that some Western Australian player was wearing. It looked like a great big hat he was wearing or whatever. So it has been helpful to me. I remember one game against West Torrens where I collided with Chris Keller, and he was he was knocked out or whatever, and I was that far from being knocked out myself. I was a bit daisy, but then I'm sure that if I didn't have that helmet I would have been, you know, gone.
Well, being knocked out so many times and occasionally knocked out unfairly, have you ever thought of just giving the game away because it is too dangerous?
Not really, no. I suppose if you love football you're going to put up with these things, and if football means that much to you, and it does to me, I've played it all my life, and I really don't think how I could live without football, and just the people around it and the competition and the effort that you put into it and everyone else puts into it, you do get rewards, and I think the rewards compensate for those little things that happen to you.
Well, people who aren't fair don't win the Gary medals, and you've won one, but there are also those people who aren't Norwood supporters that would remember a game against Port Adelaide at Football Park where you put a player down. What happened there? Well,
yeah, I remember that pretty well too, Andrew. A lot of people were saying that you know, I was getting tagged and he was doing a good job, and they reckon I went haywire a little bit, but one of our players had the ball, and it was Steve McCarthy, and he was running away from the Rover, which names escapes me at the moment. He was only a reasonably young bloke, and he was probably about 2 or 3 metres behind him, and I just went in to shepherd him. Not shepherd, just throw the arms back. I went and bumped him off his run. Mind you, he wasn't expecting me to knock him over, so it did wind him for a little while, and then, of course, being a Port Adelaide supporter, they all go berserk. Most of them were Port Adelaide supporters at that time because Norwood were going pretty bad, and, you know, they didn't let me forget it.
Well, do you remember guys
last year that really annoy me a little bit, that you know, that people do it to you, but I suppose if you remember them and you hold a grudge, you can hold a grudge, but I don't think there's a need for any revenge, so to speak, at all. You just go out there, and if they want to do it to you, you know, they do it. You just go out there and play the ball.
Well, taking it a step further, for the player that does play the ball, is he protected enough?
Yes, I think he is, but then again, you know, I don't say a lot about umpires, and there are good umpires and there are bad umpires, and the good umpires do protect you, but mind you, there's a lot of people that think the good umpires are, are really good, and the bad umpires are really bad. But I know some good umpires that I don't think are very good. So it's a matter of choice, I think. But yeah, you do get protected enough, I think.
But it's not necessarily the behind-the-play incidents that cause the most damage. One of the most important parts of this great game is tackling. How many times have you heard a coach say, it's not worth hitting them if they can still get up? A good tackling side can place so much pressure on its opponent that in the end, the opposition no longer wants the ball.
On his own, Smiles got to him fast. Tackled him, ball falls out of his hands.
Aish running down the field, he's going to be caught down. Or too high, according to umpire Laurie Argent. A good professional tackle by Michael Graham, though.
Craig. Barbery. High tackle. Jenkins said, how do you do?
Tom McFarlane standing up in the forward pocket, hoping that someone can Winters just barges straight in, an elbow Stouty in the face. Jumped in the air and elbowed him in the head.
Oh, does it beautifully.
Topping has Western clear. One grab, two grabs. I think he's called to play on. The handball goes out. Glendinning gets past Will. Dummies, twist, Bernie's got to be gone this time.
On a lead. No talking there by the West Adelaide players. Warhurst short. See that? Oh, elbow it was. His elbow hit him in the head as he was coming through. I thought they hit heads.
Campbell's got to beat Anderson. Does it well. Under pressure. Great tackle, Anderson. Beautifully done, young man. Gets out with a ball. How's that for a footballer? Hooks around the corner towards Feletic, and he takes the mark on the half-forward line.
He can't pick it up. Oh, McIntosh got it to Thomas. Mental. Down he goes. Holding the ball. Oh, great tackle, Russell Ebert.
Still playing the mark. Not allowed, Kevin. Hollis. Well tackled by Lennon. Dowsett pushed in the back. Craig, twisting, turning, gets it back to Hollis. He's on his left foot. Boots it high. It's all Woodville players, enough there to eat it. It's sniffed up there just in time. Off the ground it went from Darrington. That's straight through the middle. What a remarkable goal.
Coming out there was Lunnis towards centre wing, but it's Tyrrell in front. Whoa, met heavily by Ralph Sewer, and a 15-metre penalty kick is imposed. Up to Bart. Well, Bart get plenty of distance out of the left footer. Colasanti into the back of Coolman. Through comes Holt. Well, Colasanti's given away a free kick.
Just like anything else, football has its good guys and its bad guys. There are players the crowds love to hate because they're too tough, and players they love to hate because they're not tough enough. And just because they play the game harder than anyone else doesn't mean they're any less skillful.
In towards full forward again. Motley is the leaper, gets underneath the ball. First there will be Leslie. Darrington gets the better of the bounce. Davies into the open goal. Dummies. Twist, turn, goal! Wobbles one up towards Evans. A big magnificent mark. Quickly now it's Craig. 40 metres out. Steadies, puts it in the air. Davies! Kick away is not good. Coming towards Kinnear and Wilson. Sturt have had more pace all day. Who's going to win it this time? Oh, the tackle was high on Kinnear. He's not very happy with it. Confident of making the distance. A nice looking drop punt. Touch and go. Big leap for Leslie. Breach to the half forward line. Davies again. He's starting to get his feet off the ground.
There it is. Spiel knocks it away. Wilson has done very well for Sturt on that wing. Craig, great handball, Whittlesea. What an end to the game. What a great game, Whittlesea. A back pocket player supreme.
Goes towards centre half forward. Kennedy, a magnificent mark over the back of Frisbee. Arnold's on the lead. Oh, good grab by Arnold. Great grab by Arnold.
Quarter alike. Tunnel balls it. Darrington after it. Ebert showing a lot of pace. Well done, Russell Ebert. Gave Belton the chance. Back to Ebert it goes. The centre half back. Port Adelaide captain. Will kick a goal if he's good enough. Gives it a big chance. The umpire getting under it. What a great run from Ebert.
Nolan, tap it forward. Fairclough over the top to Haitley. Gets out of the way of Bone. Comes back to Snee Bickler. South slowly moving it, but doing it hard. Bone will pick up. He's grabbed by somebody. He's lost his back. He's had his short down.
Tackle by Seabone. Breaks the tackle. Hollis around the corner towards goal.
Here's a chance now for Huppets. Huppets ducks, turns, no backup support at all. Dummies. Oh, that's beautifully done, Ray Huppets. Evans a chance. Here it is, quickly over from Curtis to Huppets. Can he pick it up? Oh, he can't find it. He somehow hit the post. Oh, he can't believe it.
Bomber Clifford thinks about it.
But for the so-called tough guys, with what intentions do they take to the field every Saturday?
Bomber, would you say you play footy harder than most?
I probably wouldn't say that, Andrew. When you go out to play footy, you go out to win, mate. And if anyone gets in your way, you try and get rid of them the best way you can. And by that I mean fairly, as I always play. Some people might disagree because I've had quite a few visits to the tribunal, but I consider myself a reasonably fair player, yeah.
Well, a lot of supporters, particularly those that don't support Port Adelaide, would say that Bomber Clifford gets away with murder.
Well, it doesn't really matter who you support. There's always someone in some team that always stands out. In Port Adelaide's case, well, it could be me. I know quite a few times I've been down to Central District's ground. I've got a real rage from their supporters, but what do you expect from Poms, mate? I shouldn't say that, but I think every team have got their supporters, and they always look for someone to have a go at. And I think at Port Adelaide, I might be that one person they look at.
Well, have you ever gone out onto a field to take someone out of the game, even fairly?
Oh, no, not really. It depends if I'm playing against him. He's getting on top of me. I know I've got to do something about it. And I think it doesn't really matter who you are. If there comes a time where you can take a player out and take him out fairly, not only myself, but every player who plays league football today does exactly the same.
Well, most coaches would agree then that if you're going to hit a bloke, you might as well hit him hard.
I'd agree. Hit him hard, but hit him fair. You're not going to get anything else out of him, mate, like that.
Well, why is it that Bomber Clifford gets reported quite a few times?
Oh, it's very hard to say, actually. I think, to be quite honest, sometimes I really believe that umpires have different rules for different players, and I might be a bit of an extrovert in what I do and the way I go about things, and I think I've got a bit of a personality that umpires mightn't like. But I don't really go out intensely to go and hit players or do anything like that, though umpires might, take it that way.
Well, are Port Adelaide sides traditionally tougher than most?
I'd say they've got their reputation for being tough from the early days, the Frost Williams, Bob Clayton and these sort of blokes. But over the past few years, I'd say Port Adelaide hasn't or aren't a tough team anymore. They rely a lot on their skills and ability. And I think that comes under the guidance of Russell Lever, who's taught us more or less to play the ball at all times, and that's what we're about at the present time.
Just going away from Port Adelaide, would you believe that there were any coaches at all who would say to a player, go out and get him?
No, I'd say not. The name of the game is to go out there and play football, and I think that's what the coaches really tell all their players to do. And as you know, if you go out and play the game and get the ball, you've got first use of the ball, well, that's all that matters. If you've got use of the ball, you've got first opportunity to score goals, and that's what it's all about at the moment, Andrew.
Well, how much do you enjoy the game for what it's worth?
I love footy, I've played it now. When I first played at Collingwood, going back 12 years, it's probably given me age away a bit, but I was only 16 then, and I was sort of brought up with surroundings of loving football and playing football, and I was always taught the same thing, to get the ball at all costs. If it means someone in your way, dispose of him the best way you can, and I will mention fairly. And but I'll continue playing football as long as I possibly can, and hopefully it'll give me another couple of years to go yet.
Well, what if, so let's go 5 years hence, say you were coaching a side and you were coming up against a side who had an absolute star, and you had to make a decision to put someone on that player, what would you tell them?
Well, I'd probably try and get Granger out of retirement, mate. That's probably the best thing I could do, but I wouldn't never ever go and tell a player to go out and dishonestly or outside the rules of football to go and hit a bloke unfairly. I think it's just up an individual to weigh things up and just beat the bloke on his own merits. And if the bloke's good enough and playing well enough as it is, well, good luck to him.
Well, it's fair to say that you're a good friend of David Granger's. What sort of footballer was he?
Oh, it was extremely hard, as everybody knows, but I think things were blown completely out of proportion over the years. David played the game very, very hard, and at times I know he probably went outside the realms of fairness. But to be quite honest, I know he was antagonised a lot because I played beside him in half-forward flank quite numerously, quite a few, most of the time anyhow. And like I said, he's antagonised and annoyed, and he only had one way to come back, and that was unfairly. But I really think he was treated very harshly by umpires as a whole.
How good a player was he?
he was a very good player. A lot of the things he did was going in and hitting the ball and knocking it away from the packs, and doing the hard thing was, to be quite honest, unnoticed. And I really believe probably the press, the TVs, umpires as a whole, more or less ruled him out of playing football ever again, which is a bit of annoyance to everybody, because I don't give a damn what anyone says. People come to football to see that type of player play.
And do you believe, what are your opinions of the umpires as we see them?
You put me in a very hard position. I always respect umpires, I've got to say that, but as a whole they've got a job to do, and they're only human as players are also. At times they do miss things that probably should be reported, and at times they pick up things that maybe shouldn't be reportable incident. But I really believe as a whole they do their very, very best to make sure the game flows on and make sure there's no unduly rough incidents to occur.
A lot of supporters would say that you're the hardest and toughest player they've ever seen. Who do you think is the hardest and toughest player you've ever played against?
Well, it's very hard. I really believe that every player plays a game to win, and every player's got their tough man or whatever. I wouldn't classify myself in that category. But nor John Wynn. I played against John Wynn a couple of times. He was very, very hard. Michael Craig, sorry, I'm telling lies there, Craigie from Sturt. He was a very, very hard player, but fair. You can go on and on and on, and every player who does put on the Guernsey is very, very hard. And every week I look forward to playing against a hard type of player, because I play the same sort of game.
What about Gary McIntosh, as tough as you've seen?
Well, they don't come much tougher than Macca. You know, he's very, very hard player. He's always got his head down and bum up and doing his best for the team. And I think if you spoke to Macca at all, he'd say he's got one thing to do, and that's go out and win the ball and win the game for Nord, and that's the way he goes about it. And I think there's so many other players in his category around Adelaide probably that don't get as much recognition as he do, but it does more or less exactly the same sort of style of game.
Well, how do you feel when you hear spectators call you a dirty sort of player? What does Bomber Clifford feel inside?
I love it. I really love it. I think it gets that bit of get up and go that you're probably lacking earlier, that makes you want to go out and try that little bit harder and, you know, kick a goal and really show them, and probably bow to them or give them a wave that really antagonise them, which adds that little bit of comedy and a bit of whatever you like to call it to the game. And I think that every supporter around Adelaide that follows league football, not only, like I said, in Adelaide, but in Melbourne, they really enjoy that sort of player. Jacko's a fine example.
If you're lucky someday you might see me on the street. My crystal clear complexion is just no white as a sheet. So some say I'm a genius, to others I'm a loon. But someday there'll be people like me walking on the moon. If you think you've got the nerve to put me in my place, I think that I should warn you, I'm not just a pretty face. I'm an individual, you can't fool me. An in-the-bloody visual, you can't fool me. A genuine original, you can't fool me. I keep an open mind, cause I'm thinking all the time. I have a basic sense of rhythm and a chronic sense of rhyme. I make my own tomato juice and drink it all the time. I like to dress outlandishly, skin-tight pants and sneakers, and on my head I wear the latest hi-fi speakers. Wish I had the chance to be a reckless millionaire, but I haven't got the money, so I really couldn't care. I'm an individual, you can't fool me. An independent individual, you can't fool me. A genuine original, you can't fool me. I keep an open mind, cause I'm thinking all the time. I am not an animal. I am not an animal. I'm a human being. Me mother calls me Marcus and my father's name is Jack, and everybody knows that I'm a cutter of the pack. My formal education was in competition dance, attending your auditions for the latest movie parts. People say they like my needs enough to stop my growth. They ask me if I'm happy and I tell them oh, no. I'm an individual, you can't fool me. An in-the-blood individual, you can't fool me. A genuine original, you can't fool me. I keep an open mind cause I'm thinking all the time. I
When the game is all over, the crowd immediately disappear. They either wander off home or down to the club to talk about the battle just won or lost. But in the rooms are the players who've just given their all for their clubs for over 100 minutes. They're bruised, they suffer cuts, breaks, and there are tears, all of which have to be put right by the following Saturday. Rick Montiardis has been in and around football clubs as long as most people can remember, and now operates one of the state's most successful sports injury clinics.
Rick, do football clubs take their injuries seriously?
Yes, I think they do. Most football clubs today seriously consider their players, and as a result, yes, they do take their injuries seriously.
What about the injuries that you've seen as a result of behind-the-play incidents?
Most of the injuries that I have seen is the aftermath, such as concussion, and they've come here complaining of neck ache and sore shoulders and sore necks because of it. Usually behind-the-play incidents are treated at the hospitals, and we just get the occasional one that has received, as I said, the neck problem or the shoulder problem.
So what you're saying is a lot of the behind-the-play incidents are really quite serious?
Yes, they are. Yeah, very much so. As we've discussed on many occasions, one of the most serious things, of course, is concussion. But certainly I've seen high femurs, which is bleeding into the anterior chamber of the eye. And, of course, there's broken noses, fractured cheekbones, broken jaws, and the list goes on and on and on.
We've seen a lot of reports and a lot of suspensions, but do you think that they're still doing enough to cut out those sort of incidents?
No.
What would you do?
I believe that if a player is found guilty of striking, and that is deliberate striking, I think he should be penalised sufficiently so that he makes amends for what he has done. I laugh sometimes at the situations whereby a player deliberately goes out to maim another player, and because he has a very strong advocate in the vicinity of a good solicitor, gets off almost scot-free, perhaps with a reprimand or 1 game, maybe 2 games. I believe that if they are penalised in games and financially, I think it may stop the coward or the player who feels that he can substitute and claim some of the limelight of sporting prowess by hitting someone, yes.
But there's a very fine line between a fair bump and an unfair bump, isn't there?
Sure is.
Well, what about, when you look at football matches now, it seems to be an almost common tendency that the elbows now are continually raised. Every player raises his elbow, or almost every player raises his elbow, and there seems very little they can do about that.
I believe that the players are not taught correctly at a younger age of how to protect themselves, first of all. Second of all, I don't believe that all players know the rules of the game, and I rather suspect that if you were to quiz every league player about the laws of the game, very few of them would actually know the meaning, and as a result, they tend to falter because of the lack of knowledge of the rules. Now, as far as lifting the elbows up, I guess if one does it, they all do it in order to protect themselves, and I think they've got to be stopped before something critical occurs, such as someone losing his eye, the Edwards from Central Districts, or someone gets maimed for life.
Like Neil Sachs?
Like Neil Sachs, yes.
Well, one of the probably most spectacular parts of football is the classic shirt front, but it is in the rules, within the rules of the game. Do you see any problem there, having that as part of the rules of the game?
The shirt front is a dangerous blow, and perhaps that rule ought to be looked at. I have seen some nasty things happen as far as shirt fronting is concerned. I can remember a young player at West Torrens when I was down there, who just came on as an interchange and was shirt fronted by an opposition player, and as a result he had his cheekbone broken, his mandible, that's the jawbone, broken, his nose broken as well, which was quite devastating. And although legally within the rules, that rule was taken far beyond its limits because of that fine line.
What about injuries to players like Roger Luders or Graham Corns or Grenville Dietrich, who are renowned high marks? They get up on a guy's shoulders, they come down awkwardly. Do you get a lot of injuries from people taking the mark?
Certainly. 3 degrees are in that sort of situation. The first one, of course, is the concussive tape syndrome that they get from the acceleration, deceleration, where the body hits and the head goes forward and then backwards, and they get this mild concussion syndrome that they get. The second one, of course, is the jarring effect. They may fall on to the back and get a strained back, or they may fall onto the knees and get strained ligaments of the knees, etc. So yes, we do get them.
What about headgear? Does it work?
No.
What would you do in its place?
I wouldn't have anything in its place. Look, there isn't anything in Australia at the moment that will suffice, as far as Australian rules football is concerned, to protect the person from sustaining concussion. Concussion is not simply sustained by the knock. It is the rotation and the velocity that the brain moves within the casing, that is the skull, that causes concussion, not the actual blow. What the headgear will protect is the prevention of a laceration.
Well, you're quite involved in the football field, but also involved in the medical field. Do you believe that the bloke going for the ball is protected enough?
I don't think so.
Why not?
I think because the game is so fast, and because the game is so fast, the judgment time span, of course, is minimal, and therefore the umpire has to make a decision. And after all, he is human, and he can only justifiably penalise what he sees. But when you've got two eyes and a number of people running at the same time or jumping at the same time, your view is obscured. Look, I wouldn't like to be an umpire.
Well, obviously over the years the game has changed. In the time that you've been involved in the game, has the amount of injuries increased?
Certainly. The number of injuries have increased because there are a greater number of people participating. Also, we are much more aware of our bodies today. We tend to look after our injuries much better because we have much more skilled people to look after them, and therefore we are much more aware of them. In the days gone past, perhaps, now I've been involved in sports injuries for the last 20-odd years, perhaps take it 25 years ago, or even 30 years ago, if you had a cartilage damaged, that was the end of you. Today, you've had a cartilage, you're in hospital, out the next day, and possibly playing within 2 weeks. So that's the advancement that we're seeing. Sure, there are other injuries that are incapacitating, but we've advanced so much that we can help the athlete, and you only have to look at Russell Ebert has broken the Australian record as far as the number of games missed, and I've had the very good fortune to be able to be associated with Russell in his treatments for I don't know how long now, it's a very long time, and he's only missed 7 games. Now, something is going right for him, and I think the aid of the science that has developed over these years has helped Russell a heck of a lot.
Owen's getting back there first, but takes the ball over the line, and now we see another little dust-up. That's very for his play, young man. Through comes Harvey, run into the ground. The umpire didn't see that one either. And the Port Adelaide supporters standing up in their chairs. They're not happy at all. Starting to warm up just a little bit out there. I would think the temperature, Bruce, is getting above 14 degrees now with Bomber Clifford in the action.
With a lucky holding the ball decision to Davies. Off hands to Derrington. On his left foot. Into the square. Motley's under it. And Motley's got it. Some bit of a skirmish on the play with Davies involved. Craig coming in. I don't think Rick will need any help. He can handle 6, I reckon, Bruce, before they have to call in the reinforcements. Neil Crutch a little bit upset. I think that hit he got in the nose didn't impress him. All Terrible's got to do is kick it straight. He can't do that. He's kick it to Roberts. He'll get a 15-metre penalty. I hope what I see down there isn't true. I hope that player wasn't trying to hit Neville Roberts in the face. There was a lot of arm swinging going on down there. Norton to attack this quarter with careless short kicking. Front position to Neil Button, and he's marked the ball. Again, Button will have the ball taken away from him. I'll be amazed if... I don't know what the umpire's doing there, but...
On purpose, and now Hughes and Folletic want to get involved. McFarlane, this is absolutely ridiculous.
I'm not sure that he didn't hit his head when he hit the ground.
No, what happened? Stringer came in and he hit Stringer's elbow, but it certainly wasn't on purpose. And have a look at this. Clifford and Salisbury.
Like you
You can see this down.
That's a joke, Robert.
Oh, you can see this Eddie
Absolute
Olaware.
joke. This is what footy's all about. I want to go home. This is no fun at all. Stretchers come out again. Burgess. Oh, a lot of errors being made.
Aussie Rules has all sorts of players who are noted for their ability in different facets of their game. Some are outstanding kicks, or brilliant thinkers, or great tacklers, or even superb motivators. But without a doubt, the most spectacular of all is the great mark. Nothing can make a crowd rise like a player soaring head and shoulders above another to grab a specky. But to coin a phrase, what goes up must come down. And an even better one, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. There is a certain danger in the high mark. Many a player has risen to great heights, only to come down awkwardly, with or without the ball, and suffer some form of injury. Once you're in the air, it's difficult to control those beneath you, as one of the great exponents of the mark explains.
Roger, what are the dangers of high marking?
Probably, Andrew, the dangers would be the way you come down. You know, obviously if you're off balance when you're on the way down, you can land awkwardly and therefore do yourself an injury.
Well, have you done yourself any injury through high marking?
No major ones, really. I got knocked out once against Torrens. I don't really remember whether that was through marking or getting hit on the way down or what, but you do get a few bruises on, say, your hips and knees or whatever when you just come down from being in the air.
Well, it is a spectacular facet of the game, but perhaps in some respects it can't always be, it's not always that smart because your recovery isn't that good, is it?
That's right. It's not something you can do all the time. If you're going to go for the big marks every time it comes in, it'll come off, say, 1 in 10. And as you say, when you come down, you usually land on your back or on your side or something, and therefore it takes you a lot longer to get up and recover, and therefore gives the opposition a lot better chance to get the ball away.
Well, how do you decide whether you're going to go for a fly or sit back?
It usually depends on where the ball's coming from and how many's in the pack. Like, it's not much use jumping over a pack of, say, 10 or 15 players because there's not much chance you're going to get your hands on the ball anyway. It's usually one-on-one with people running towards you so that you know that if you don't happen to take the ball, you're going to have someone there to help you if the ball hits the ground.
Well, what is easier, just leading straight out for the ball or just going for the mark when you know you can beat your opponent?
Obviously leading, I think, Andrew. The ball, when you lead and the ball's put in front of you, therefore you can judge how hard to go at the ball. If it's a mile in front of you, you've got to go, flat out. But if it's put well in front of you, you can at least have a break on your opponent and therefore judge how hard to hit the ball and where you can take it, on your chest or in front of your eyes.
Well, what about when you're in the pack? What about the bloke behind you? Obviously there's always a chance that he's going to come down and hit you very hard.
Yeah, that's a facet not only of high marking but of any marking. Person behind you is always, well, theoretically he should be trying to spoil from behind, but a lot of them do try to mark, and a lot of the time it does come unstuck and the bloke in front will take the mark. So it's a part of the game that's just there, I think, the bloke coming from behind.
Well, who are the best marks you've seen?
Well, overall, I'd say Peter Knight's in his heyday. I used to follow Hawthorn when I was a young boy, and Peter Knights used to take some unbelievable marks as far as I was concerned. Whereas over here, at this present stage, Peter Motley seems to take a lot of good marks from any angle, which, whether it be high flying or on the ground, he seems to take them well.
It seems that the high flyers are quite often full forwards, and obviously you can't see a high flyer in the back. And when did you decide that was a good part of your game?
It's just something that's been there all the time, through juniors as well. I've mainly played in attack since I was under 17s and through there, so it's just part of my game that's been there all the time. And obviously when you're a bit younger you try to do it all the time, and you've just got to try and taper it off as you go up through the grades.
Well, how do you train for marking well?
You don't really train for the jumping part of it. The only way you can strengthen your hands is by hitting the ball hard at training. Like a bloke, say, 10 yards away from you, kicking it at you, and you take it in your hands all the time instead of taking it on the chest and just trying to make them one grab.
Well, Roger, you're not a real big bloke, but for someone like Grenville Dietrich, who is a huge sort of person, it's quite surprising that he can get so high in the air.
Yeah, it's funny. You don't have to be a small bloke or a light bloke or anything like that to jump. In Grenville's case, as you say, he'd be 6'3" and weigh quite a few stone. But it's part. He's obviously got a bit of spring in his legs, which helps him and makes him a very hard player to stand.
What's the best mark you've ever taken?
That's a hard one. Well, in 1982, I think it was, took a mark against South down at Footy Park. We actually got beaten that day, but I think it won Mark of the Year that year, and it was probably the highest I've got.
Has any coach ever told you not to go for the mark?
No, it's they leave it to your own discretion. Obviously, if you're out of position and you can't get to the ball and make a firm grip on it, then the idea is to punch, and it's something it's up to your own discretion to decide whether you can mark it or whether it's, you know, for the best interest of the side, the sport.
Over the years, high marking has thrilled millions of football fans, from our own Graham Malloy, Renfrew Dietrich and Roger Luders, to the man they call the greatest mark of them all. That was, and is no doubt, Graham Corns. Over the years, football has changed a little. The game has become a lot faster. There's more concentration on the running game. And we've seen the advent of a lot of players wearing headgear. And the money player, earned for their effort, has skyrocketed.
Now we have two umpires in the middle. Now we have a lot more reports and a lot more suspensions. But football is a part of the Australian way of life. It's a game where not only just the players, but the spectators as well, can release their frustration. It's been around for almost 100 years and is still growing.
There's a fight. There's a fight right in front of the umpire. He doesn't know what to watch, to fight or what. Ah, there you go. Well, I'll tell you what. Oh, that's the worst piece of umpiring I've ever seen. Well, they'll get killed. That's what'll happen.
Well, the ball taken by Cassie. Well, you've got the mark. You may as well not give it away.
Well, it's a silly business now. They're going to... There's boots flying and players going to the ground, and that's no place for trainers to be either. And,
no, it's certainly not. Not if you can't fight anyway.
Yes, Kenny sending word out through the trainer. Oh, there's the trainer's been knocked over, and this is silly business. And there's punches going all ways, and umpire Mead nowhere near the thing now. He's trying to pull them apart, and this is bad. This is bad in a practice match and shouldn't be there.
Right out of the way, players certainly aware of Davy's ability to mark, and the kick will go Central District's way. And Michael Graham objecting that somebody walked over his face with their sprig boot, and unfortunately he's correct. He was. And that player going down there is Chris McClay, and he's been in a lot of bother.
The right forward pocket, Williams searches for the ball, but it goes out of play. What a sensation. There's a brawl, it's on again. Umpire Archer has got his hands full. Players running from everywhere. It's on. It's a spout. What an unbelievable start. Barham and Evans had to be separated by an umpire while the Australian anthem was being played. And now within the first 37 seconds of the game, there's a pile-up of about 25 to 30 players, and they still want to box on. The leg runner goes out. Umpire John Hilton in his first grand final just telling players to cut it out.
So what the public likes is a hard and tough game. It's a man's game, so they don't mind players going down as long as the play is fair. But boy, oh boy, I'm glad it's them and not me.
Everybody knows that I'm a colour of the pack. My full education was in competition darts, attending new auditions for the latest movie parts.